Good evening, ladies and maybe gentlemen, if they're tuned in. I mean, it would be nice if some of them listen in from time to time. It'll save us a lot of less stress to explain these things if they actually come for conversations like this, but it's okay. So welcome. My name is Shay. We have Anu, and then we also have Enuka. And I guess the format for this conversation, if you've been following the page and the series we've been running, it's called Out of Sync, where we've just been addressing what this regulation means in the body, just talking about how managing PCOS is not just about symptoms; it's an array of different things that affects how it shows up in the body and affects different women differently. So we've been trying to break it down into the metabolic conversation, lifestyle, nutrition, and what's the other one? Nervous system. And how, when we are able to break it down and understand what's going on with these different systems, it enables us to maybe trace a possible solution for like better care. I mean, in general, with PCOS, there are some people say, okay, um, if you have irregular periods, if you have symptoms, follicles on your ovaries, or you're presenting male and symptoms, hair, that sort of thing. See or two of them, 2 out of 3. If you see this, then you have to. But what about women? That's not. And I remember having a conversation with Enuka, and she shared a bit of her story, and she said for her it was wow. So for them to was because it didn't fit into the story. So I just thought it would be actually great to hear Enuka's yeah. Oh, it's echoing. Let me see. Is it still? Did it just start echoing? Yeah, even me.
It's better, but I can hear myself echoing.
Yeah. Or maybe you could do it if we're speaking, we can just mute and see if that helps.
Okay.
Okay. Hello everyone. People on chat, is it fine? Is it still echoing? It's not echoing. Okay, great. So we'll just mute as whoever is speaking will take the floor, the other person will mute. So yeah, so without further ado, Enuka, it's going to be chill. I mean, 3 of us have had different experiences with PCOS, but then just leading from your story, we want to know more about obviously your diagnosis, your story, how you've been able to navigate. Welcome everyone. Okay, thank you for clarifying. And as we're just conversing, if you have questions on anything, you can just drop it in the chat and we'll talk through. Right. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, great. I see that my sisters and my niece have logged in. I'm quite happy they have because this is something that affects all of us. So I am the last of 3 girls. I come from a family of a lot of women, maybe more women than men at this point. Um, so a few weeks ago, I had a conversation with an oncologist. And while I was having the conversation, I was saying, oh, that I think that I developed PCOS at about 28. And she said no, because she was a few years my junior in primary school and a few years my junior in secondary school and is married to my friend. And she said, no, sis, you were always big. That what I know of you, you were always a bit bigger than your mates. And it got me thinking, and I remembered, and I shared this with my oldest sister, Danny, that I remember at 15, I went to the village with my dad. And his sister saw me, and his sister went straight to him and said, I'm not happy. Enuka is so big. Why is she this big? She's adding too much weight. When we came back to Lagos, my dad took me to a nutritionist. And of course, the first thing they'll tell you is, cut out milk, cut this out, cut this out. And my dad wasn't happy about that. He said, don't give the child a complex. So it took years. At 28, I developed a beard. And I apologize if I get a bit flustered because it's so painful that anybody had to, and I had to experience this. Now, I think I was in my late 30s and I kept complaining. I'll eat, I'll get tired. My second sister told me there was something about the glycemic index of foods, that maybe that was causing it. So I started watching everything that I eat. At a point, I'll be so tired. I couldn't even get up from the bed, fatigued, and I had no idea what was wrong. In 2020, I decided I was going to run serious tests. Unfortunately for me, I was given a doctor's appointment for my 40th birthday. My mother asked me not to go for that appointment because I would always remember what happened that day. But I went. And I might be laughing now, but at a point they told me to strip because of the results I came with. And they were searching my entire body. And I had to ask them, what are you looking for? Because my results were all over the place. The hormonal results, the cortisol, everything was all over the place. And the doctor said, we're looking to see if you have a purple stretch mark. And I said, I don't have stretch marks, even though I'm a big girl. So they told me to dress up. So the doctor going through my history was like, he doesn't understand this result. I should go and run the test again. Not at this point, I was in so much pain that even waking up in the morning to get up from the bed, I would be in so much pain. And I was pushing through like that. For how many years? Now, it turned out that the hospital, the clinic, the lab had actually made a mistake and given me somebody else's report. Unfortunately for me, that doctor refused because the report he had would have caused them to have emergency surgery at Luth. I had gone to a private endocrinologist who gave me back my money and told me to go to Luth, that he couldn't handle it. I didn't know what was going on. He made me run tests, and that was when we found out that these results were wrong. Notes, this was my 40th birthday that I had that hospital appointment. I spent the entire day in Luth. The man was very kind to me. His name is Professor Olopade, I believe. Yes, Olopade. And he kept following up with me what was going on. Still didn't know what was happening. I added so much weight. I couldn't move. At my heaviest, I weighed 136 kilos. Please note that I'm from a family of rather leper women who probably don't weigh more than 80 kg at their heaviest. So I was really the odd one out. In 2023, December 2023, I went for a party with some of my alumni. These people I didn't meet in secondary school, they graduated in 87. And one of them happened to be a professor of gynecology. And he hadn't been in the same room with me in over 15 years. And he heard my voice and you could see him shudder physically. Somebody was like, what's wrong with you? He said her voice is too deep. They're like, no, her voice is, that's how she is. During the party, he pulled me aside and he said to me, I don't like how your voice sounds. When last did you see a gynecologist? And I said, oh, I've been planning to see one. I haven't seen one. And he brings out his phone to, send me to someone. And I said, oh, a classmate of mine is a gynae at Enuka General. Let me go to him instead. And he said, when you're with him, dial me into that call. I want to listen to whatever you people say. And when you get there, no matter how insignificant you think a symptom is, talk about it. So I went in to meet I called my classmate, Bameke, Dr. Bameke at Medical General. He was like, yeah, please come in. Can we mute? Yes. I went in, we had the conversation. While I was talking to him, he said to me, just wait. Although my other friend was on the call, and he went and called in a third doctor, and the person sat down. And they said to him, he said, repeat yourself. Both of us know you. So we might not be as detailed as we should be because we'll be a bit emotional. So while they were talking, I kept noticing that he kept stealing glances with his colleague. And I was like, you know what, don't bullshit me. You know how I am. Tell me what it is. And they asked me, have you heard about PCOS or PCOD? I said, yes. They said, we suspect you have it. And I was like, oh. And they said, one of the reasons why they suspect, because I have my periods, I don't have any issues with my periods, or at that point I didn't have any issues, was because of my voice, the fact that I had a beard, and the fact that I kept talking about being very fatigued and being very in so much pain. But they led me to understand that those symptoms weren't in one box. So PCOS, I don't know if anyone, let me just share this, that PCOS has 4 types. It has the inflammatory type, the insulin resistant type, the adrenaline type, the adrenal type, and then the post-pill type. I cut across 3 boxes. So my symptoms weren't regular symptoms, but because this is what they do, this is what they've done for years, they were able to catch it. And they said, we'll put you on 500 mg of metformin, come back in 2 weeks and let's have a conversation. I said, with that, note, I weighed 136 kilos at that point. In 2 weeks, I had lost 2 kilograms. I was confused. It had never happened. That I wasn't killing myself. It had never happened. I used to go to the gym. I used to deadlift more than 90 kilos. My back used to hurt me so badly, and I kept pushing because I wanted to do something about it. I don't think I was really facing any pressures, because you have people that will say things that you don't know about you. But I just really wanted to understand why I was going through what I was going through. I had joint pain. When I say I had joint pain, even my fingers like this, I was in pain. I couldn't do this easily. And after the 2 weeks, they said, yes, so this shows that this is what we thought it was, is what it is. You have to stay on this. Come back after about 3 months and let's have an evaluation, which I did. After 3 months, I went back. I had lost about 3.5 kilos or so. They upped my dose to 1 milligram. Is that correct? To 1 gram, and said I should stay on it. For about a year, I was on that, and it was okay. But I started realizing that I still had pain. And I went back to the hospital and I told the doctor. He said, okay, he doesn't understand why I have pain, but I should come with him to talk to the pharmacist. And when I got to the pharmacist, I think by then it had upped me to 1,500 milligrams. I went to the pharmacist, and she said that I needed to stay on the slow release, the extended release type, and that I would have to go up to 2 milligrams, which is the maximum that they give anybody. Normally, they don't give people with PCOS that much, but that whatever it is, that my own must really, really be bad. Now, during the time I went to Luz in 2020, the endocrinologist showed me something. So I think I was in primary 5 when I went to take pictures for my common entrance exam, federal common entrance exam. And when those pictures came out, I said to my dad, why is my shoulder like that? My shoulders are not straight. My father looked at it and didn't think anything of it. But it was that day that I realized that I have a bump, which isn't very visible, but it's a bump to show that there is insulin resistance running in my family. I do know that, yes, there's a history of diabetes. So, I mean, getting to find out that that bump has always been there. I started driving on the road and I would see people with the bump and I'm taken aback, like, oh my goodness, does this person know what's going on with his body or her body? And it will amaze you how many people are walking around blind. They don't know what's going on. So that's how I moved to the 2 milligrams. From December 2023 till August 2025, I lost a total of 12 kilos. Without doing anything extra, I was eating my normal food, no issues. Once I tried to go back down to 1,000 milligrams, and by the time my body started paining me, nobody told me to stay on the 2,000 that they had asked me to stay on. And I went back on it. As Sheyu knows, last year I got on the GLP. And from August last year till December, because I wasn't in a hurry, I didn't scale up quickly, I lost another 10 kilograms. February, I moved from compounded Ozempic, that's a compounded semaglutide, to compounded tirzepatide, which where I will say that what I like about the compounded tirzepatide is that I'm still eating. I don't feel the nausea I felt on semaglutide. I'm eating. I'm watching my protein intake. I'm trying, although I would admit I'm very lazy to get up to exercise. I'm extremely lazy now. I wish I had the energy I had back then that I was going to the gym. I don't have it anymore. And my outlook now, because of this, is that I do not want any of my nieces to go through this pain. I was saying to a friend of mine today that in hindsight, being diagnosed as late as I was robbed me of choice. Choices I've been able to make. I didn't make them because I assumed or I didn't know that I had to make those choices. When I first put out the post, a friend of mine, a guy, said to me that he would like to log on. I don't know if he logged on, but I sent him a reminder. And another one said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you had PCOS." And in my nature, I responded, "Myself, I did not know." It might sound funny, but it robbed me of choice completely. And I have vowed I will help other women. I don't think any experience of mine is for me. I just believe my own experiences are always to help somebody else. So that when I'm speaking from a place of experience and of knowledge. So, I mean, when I was talking to Shay, we were talking about something completely different, and it came up and she was like, "Oh, would you like to talk about this?" I have absolutely no issues. I don't believe in this shame that society expects you to feel when you have an issue. We have to share it. Because, I mean, I looked at my niece. She's on the live. Yesterday, we sat down, we're having conversations. She's a big girl, beautiful girl. And she told me her mom had sent her to go and run some tests. And she showed me the test that this incompetent medical practitioner ran. Nothing but stuff on fertility. Is that the issue? You're running FSH, you're running LH. What does that have to do with the fact that this girl clearly has an issue? She's big. I sat down with her this afternoon and we're talking about gut issues, and she said she's always bloated. She said when she eats, she usually feels like the food, like she has GERD, like it wants to regurgitate. She said she feels sometimes a bit tired, but nothing. I mean, she's still young. She's 25 or so. So she definitely will still feel energetic. But I'm going to figure out how she's going to get proper care and get on the proper medication, because we do have a history of insulin issues, which means it's possible that she has it. It's very possible. And I really would not like any woman related to me to suffer after I have experienced this. I speak about it openly. So what? I'm too old actually to even care what anybody would care about, to talk about. Societal issues are not the issues here. A lot of women have kept quiet. A lot of women haven't been checked, so they do not know. So you are robbing them of choice, robbing them of the ability to make decisions at the right time, and robbing them of a future that they might want to have. A few years ago, I went just to go and check my fertility. And I remember calling my second sister because the first wasn't available. And while they were checking, I was in so much pain. I don't know if you know how when you're in pain, your mouth will start salivating. Like you have that rush of saliva. That's how much pain I was in. They had to stop the check. And the doctor told me to come back, but come back with someone, and he had to put me under, which he did. I ended up sleeping for over 17 hours when I got home. I didn't wake up till the following morning. And I ran into him recently, and he was like, "Oh, so when are you going to come in to do IVF or whatever?" I told him I don't want to do it. And he was like, "Oh, that, this is what so many women say, and they will come back." And I said, "Look, I have nieces, I have nephews. I am okay. I've come and made peace with myself. I am at peace, and my goal is how to make sure they don't suffer. And I stand by it. I will do whatever I need to do to help them in the best way possible, irrespective of how difficult it is. I want to figure out how we are going to be able to, as a family, as a collective, because there are lots of women, whether it's my nieces, nephews, even my cousins, because PCOS affects women even in menopause. It doesn't stop. It doesn't say, "Oh, now you have menopause, so let me leave you alone." No, 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 no. The struggle continues, and you will keep struggling with these things. So I really want, just Sorry, my sister just put up deputy sister. The second one that sorry. I really want a situation where more women would know that they should be tested. I was talking to that particular um, doctor, the IVF specialist, and he said to me that left to him by 13, young girls should be brought in for evaluations and should start that early because most of them would have spared their period. But okay, if you want to push it, let's do 15. That at that age, things are clear. I don't have any cysts on my ovaries. At least when we checked, there were no cysts. Some women have cysts. I don't have any acne. Some women have acne. Some women don't add any weight. Some add weight. So it's just a plethora of different things that can cause this. And I really honestly wish that we could, I mean, I have a list of labs I actually went through to share today, a list of labs that women can do. And I'm here thinking the first one that we should all do is figure out about our insulin, because the most common PCOS is the insulin resistant PCOS. And you go into a hospital and they tell you to do fasting blood sugar. What's that supposed to do for me? Excuse you. For doctors to be telling me that, oh, you know what, they didn't teach us about this thing in medical school, it's not an excuse to me, because as a medical practitioner, in fact, in any industry that you're in, you have to keep on going with the program. You have to know what is going on. It's like you just want to do the barest minimum. That is why today, a hospital that claims that is a consultant hospital is running FSH and LH for a girl who wants to find out if she has PCOS. They did a scan and said that her ovaries were 11.28 milliliters, and that is normal, when the normal is 10. Are you all right? Are you all right? It's just that, as my cousin told me, everything is not fight, because the first thing that I'd like to do is go and punch that doctor in his face, because you want to mislead a girl in her 20s. You guys can laugh, but I'm very serious, because I've been through that pain. I've been through it. I was so self-conscious about my beard, right? I used to tweeze, now I'm doing the waxing. Sometimes I don't care anymore that, please, it's there. If you don't like it, I beg, look away, you know. But I have the advantage of age on my side and maturity, where I know that's not what it's going to be about. Someone put, hey, yes, CC Edibles put skin tags. It's called Ancatosis nigricans. I don't know if you see some women that will have those skin tags at the side here with those dark patches. It's the number one sign of insulin resistance on a lot of people, and they don't even know. They can't recognize it because we're not told. We're not taught. So I really wish there was a way that we could do this more. I know when I was talking to you, Shay, that I told you that the oncologist was saying, Enuka, you need to talk more about this. You need to be more vocal about it. It remains for me to go and climb the palm tree to go and start announcing it, because everybody that is around me knows. I don't hide it. Everybody that is around me knows. I was talking to a young girl yesterday, saying that when I put it up, you know, she shared her own experiences with me. And I said to her, no, she said that so many engagements and so many marriages have failed because the man will find that the woman has PCOS. And I said to her, congratulations to them, to the women, for missing out on a foolish man. Because at the end of the day, the women have to choose themselves first. It's not just about being married. When they know more, if we can advocate so that more tests, more people understand these things, and they start from an early age, they can make choices. Is that robbing of choice that I think is my greatest anger in this whole experience? Let me be the one that made the choice not to do certain things, not the one that didn't have a choice to make it. So now I want people to be as knowledgeable as possible. I'm so laser focused when I decide to do something. It's almost I'm hyper focused. Let me crack a silly joke. So nobody should take it as a compliment when I say I like you and I'm very focused on you. It's not about you, it's just my behavior. Like the past few days before this talk, I spent so much time. I have about 11 pages written down of just trying to get stuff together to talk about. But the most important thing I want us to walk away with is to remember PCOS is not a gynecological problem. It's a metabolic hormonal disease. And a lot of us are suffering from it, and a lot of us do not understand how to help ourselves. My hope is that one way or the other, along with the PCOS conquerors, we're going to be able to do something to help people. Because so many women who have been robbed of choice, they didn't start early enough to take care of their fertility and so on, which is just a part of it, really. There are people who will still have children without issues. There are people who will still be able to do things without any issues. I don't sleep well. The problem is falling asleep. But once I fall asleep, I can get 8 hours. But it's just to fall asleep that is my issue. And that's part of the adrenal PCOS. So you see, all my issues are just crisscross, which now I feel sorry for the doctors as well, because it would have been, if I didn't have a professor and I didn't have my friend Bameke, I don't know if they would have even diagnosed me 2 months from 44, 2 months from the age of 44. So I lived with this thing for almost 30 years, if not longer. And I was trying to function. Then, of course, because I'm a bigger woman, if you say, oh, my head is aching me, it's because you're fat. Oh, I'm in pain, it's because you're fat. Anything is because you're fat. Or you go to the hospital, oh, you have to lose weight. You say, you think I don't know? You don't think there's something wrong? You think I just am the way I am? There's something I should add. When I got on the GLP, I really wish I could share older pictures of myself. My face was so round because I was heavily inflamed. Even with the PCOS, it reduced. It really reduced. But I didn't realize how round my face was until, I think, September. An old picture came up and I was shocked. I put up the picture alongside the current picture. So the first one I put up and I put moon face. And my older brother said to me, oh, I thought you were just suffering, so you had lost weight. But that's what brothers do. That's what brothers do. And I still go back. When I look at that picture, in fact, today I was looking at old pictures with my niece and I was saying to her, can you see? Can you see how I was? Do you see why I'm worried about you? Everything, I was so round. And then I looked at pictures of when I was a child, streamlined face, before the hormones started. So I think, I don't know if there's anything else I would like to share. I think I've shared a lot. This is a real TMI situation, but I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody needs to ask any questions. I'm trying to see if I can get the doctor that I spoke to come and have the conversation, Shay. I'm still on it.
Okay, no, that's fine. And thank
So
you.
I think I'm done.
Thank you so much for sharing. I don't know, like, I think his Sissy Edible says, because I was looking at your face, even when you were saying because I was like, oh, your face is looking very, like...
Leave the face. I have a small head.
No, but so there are a number of things you've said. So recently, myself, when I've been thinking about my, like, changes in my body and stuff like that, because you said TMI moments. At some point, my friends and I, we joke because Leona Lewis has that song. I keep leading. So anytime we're talking about period, we call it Leona. I was like, sis Leona, like, what's going on? You have not showed up this month. And when I just see my period, I'm like, oh God, like, I mean, I thought we were okay. We had gotten to 40 days. At this point, where are you? And when you were saying again, I noticed, I think once I started going out, I've been speaking a lot more, and I noticed my tone has been deeper. And I found it curious when you said, oh, because he heard your voice, and he was like, your voice is too deep. And that was what made him feel, I don't know if he explained that more to you, or it was just a
Yes,
case
he
of,
did.
okay,
No,
please.
he said that androgens and testosterone affect a woman's voice. And that a lot of times, if the person, like if you're around the person all the time, maybe the person will be able to tell. But when you've not been around, because I hadn't been around him in like 15 years, I met him when I was about 25. Then he set up the mother and child clinic in Ondo, Dr. Lawal Oyeni. So that reaction was because I hadn't been around him. And you can imagine, I almost didn't go for that party.
Wow.
I didn't want to go, and one of his classmates kept insisting and even insisted on sending me a vehicle to pick me up to come for that event. And then another person was like, oh, that he wants to go, one of my classmates, and he came pick me up and we went together because I got the invite. So he was my plus one.
Wow.
So what would have happened if I didn't go for that thing?
Yeah.
I don't believe that any experience is by mistake. I
Mm-hmm.
was saying to, I think my sister recently, that every decision that we take will still lead us to the same place. The only thing is the speed at which it will lead us to that place. That's it. So the androgens and the testosterone actually affect our voices. But the good thing about it, since you're giving out more talks, is that when you're talking to people, especially men, they don't hear high pitched voices.
Mm.
So, when women complain that, oh, in meetings that men don't pay attention to them, sorry, naturally I speak low.
At least
It's a thing about sound. It's the thing about sound. They don't hear high pitched voices. So if you're in a board meeting, you'll be heard.
you'll be
So
here.
take that as a plus.
Okay, thank you so much. And then what else crossed my mind? So just a little bit around you switching, because I guess when they put you on metformin, that at least helped you initially. And obviously you've been talking, because just even talking to Enuka, even me, I'm like, oh wow. I thought me I was well read, but nah, Enuka takes the cake when it comes to, like, she
I'm
was saying
hyper focused.
like a man. I was like, okay, I need to even up my game in my own understanding of my body. So yeah, you mentioned GLP-1s, and I know, like, even when I was in a conversation, I think it was 2 weeks ago, a number of people had said, oh, okay, if you talk to a dietitian will be like, yeah, no, don't go that direction. We can work on it with, but then just based on, obviously you've been working with experts, so it's something that you've not done just on your own and started anything. Since you've made that transition, what has been, I mean, the major benefits to your own overall health?
Inflammation has reduced. I'm still on my metformin because no, metformin does something separate from what the peptides are doing. Completely
Yeah.
separate things. So even when if you see the pamphlets in the medication, they will tell you there, if you're metformin, keep taking your metformin.
Hmm.
So I'm still taking my 2000 milligrams. In fact, if I was near my bed now, you see it. I carry my medication. It's in my bag, it's in the car, it's in the house, just in case something happens, I can't get home. I have my metformin with me. I don't play with it because of course, like all medication, you can miss a day or something. But if I miss more than a day or two, let's say 2 days, by the third day, when I wake up in the morning, my back will remind me that that's why they gave you that metformin to be drinking. You're doing strong head. Just those little things, they make a difference. So I think that what I've actually noticed with it is I have far less pain. And the fact that I have far less pain, I'm able to do other things. So I used to like squatting a lot. Back in the day when I was in uni, that was my exercise. I have a big backside, naturally, but I like squatting. I actually enjoy squatting. And I think I was 33 the first time I felt pain in my knee. And I called my doctor and he said, you're just feeling it now. Oh, that many women shaped like you start to feel it earlier. He had to apologize to me later because I went to Jackie. What do you mean? Am I many women? I said, what's my business with what other people are experiencing? But I think that habit of squatting actually helped me. I used to do, at a point, I was doing almost 1,000 squats a day. Please don't ask me why. Don't ask me why. Like I told you, this laser focused behavior, I just decided that that's the only exercise you can do for your knees. I'm going to do for my knees. I want my knees to be strong. It can be better, but we'll keep doing it. Now I can do just about maybe 150, max 200 a day. And it'll make my body sore, but I'll keep doing it. I recently experienced muscle soreness, which I didn't know where it was coming from. And I started reading up on myalgia. Apparently, there are different types of myalgia. And I'm still reading up on it, but I'm going to find out what medications can help other people just in case. Now, on the peptides, what I didn't enjoy, I will not lie, is the nausea on the semaglutide. That nausea was so bad for me, who normally has issues with smell. Someone was talking to me one day and I told him I couldn't continue the meeting because his mouth was smelling. It wasn't an insult. It was so bad that if I hadn't gotten up, I'd already started gagging. That bad. But now on the Monjaro is much better. I went into a shop, an African shop around, you know how all this, they have marketplaces. And as soon as I entered, they had ugu that had started going off. I just said to my cousin I was with, because I had to step outside. So by the time she came outside, she said, was it the smells? I was like, as in, it was very bad. But if you had been on the semaglutide, I'm sure I would have thrown up. But on the tirzepatide, I'm much better. I did add something that happened to me that I noticed. I developed, when I got much heavier, sleep apnea. So I'll be sleeping in the middle of the night, almost every night. And I didn't know, I'm asleep. Until I spent the night with a friend, and she said to me, you snore. I said, you snore. And she said, yes. I started recording myself sleeping. Oh boy, they could have generated electricity from you. That's how loud it was. And I was in shock because I was like, yo. And I wake up in the middle of the night. I didn't know what sleep apnea was. It's all linked. Some people with PCOS have it. It's all linked, and we don't know. So we need to understand this metabolic disorder that we have been blessed with, because it's a blessing one time. We have to figure out how to help ourselves and how to identify these things. Because imagine sleeping next to someone. I know someone who died because he has sleep apnea. And he stepped down his CPAP machine a few years ago. Yeah. That night, he just said his wife was having an argument with him. He refused to work. By morning, he was dead. He was dead. Because sleep apnea means that oxygen cuts off. He was dead. So it's not for fashion. It's not for applause. It's not for you need this. Like nobody's clapping to give you extra anything. It's a problem. They're not going to give us free money because we're educated. Okay, now that the three of us are here, we're educated. There are people who are saying, oh, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. They're getting educated as well. What are we going to do with that information? When I shared it, and up to 8 men said to me, we don't know anything about this. And I said, people log on, listen, follow the page, talk to people, because there's so many women that have these issues. I spoke to a friend today. He and his wife has a child already. But he said her period has been sketchy, but it was sketchy before. So she was probably just lucky that she took him. And now they're married, He's seeing it live. And he says, this one I have only daughters. I better know about this thing properly. So it affects men as much as it affects us. The young lady I was speaking to, who was telling me about people losing engagements and so on, said to me, so what are you going to do to make sure that people in the hinterland also know about this? This is a problem. If I'm going to be talking to people, for instance, I'm sorry, I don't think I'm going to be going to a school where the parents can afford private medical care. The children in public schools who don't know better. But big up the doctor that diagnosed me is a doctor with Lagos State. He's at Enuka General Hospital. Because they see tons of women. They are used to seeing these women. A lot of people come in and go out. So they know what they are talking about. They can see the symptoms from a mile away. They stock the medication there. And for those who have not been tested, who want to get tested, I'd advise you to go to Lagos State because one, the medication is cheaper there. What they're selling for, and I'm not joking, maybe 50,000 naira outside is about 19,000 naira there. They make it accessible to you. So I think that's it. I don't know if there are any more questions. So
Anu, I don't know if you had any more. And then if you have,
Hi. Okay.
sorry, if you have
hi,
any
Anu.
in the chat.
Hi. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
I wanted to ask, like, because you said that you never had any issues with like periods or anything. Did you have any
Mhm.
issues with like blood pressure or anything like that? None at all. Okay. I think it's
Again, I'm sorry, another joke. As a child, I went to the hospital with my dad. They checked his blood pressure and it was low. And they asked him how come when he has 6 children. He said he minds his own business. So when people say they have high blood pressure issues,
they're not minding their business.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's so
So
funny.
no, I have no high blood pressure issues whatsoever.
Okay. That's really interesting, but because I think there's something that me and Shay say where we don't really see like different women have like different symptoms together, and just hearing your symptoms and this is completely different from what I've even heard or like seen before. And even when we've spoken to like doctors and they say, oh, this is like the worst case I've had, but this is very, I would say, interesting and unusual to the norms that we've had. But I'm really glad that, the was it a doctor at the party or the friend, the doctor at the
Professor of
party really
gynecology.
Professor of Gynecology. I'm really, really glad that he caught that. And, just thinking about, the fact that, we're in Nigeria and that is being caught, I think I'm very grateful for that because I noticed that something was off with me when I was at college in America. And I also noticed something similar. And, the doctor at that time actually said it was hormonal imbalance. So it was not until I came back to Nigeria actually that it was then said. So I was on forums and stuff and I was thinking I definitely have PCOS, but it was not till Nigeria that I was now given the diagnosis of PCOS. So I'm just kind of seeing patterns with like Nigeria being, should I say, proactive in terms of these diagnoses. So it's not all bad, but I mean, I'm just seeing that pattern that yes, some doctors may be, you know, a bit primitive. No offense to any doctors, but there's some that will work actively with you because I've also been to like the hospital that actually caught it and diagnosed me actually told me in like 2018 or 19, but it was already in their record from 2014, but for some reason did not think they should tell me. Yeah. So it's just, I'm like, okay, but and I think that over time, one of the things I've just been seeing is that we definitely need to learn how to advocate for ourselves and literally like ask those questions, research. Now I've changed hospitals and now I want to go back and say, please, from the beginning of time, just give me all my records because I want to actually be the holder of my records. So I think what you're doing is very, you know, it's very interesting and also very like something that we should also teach other people. And I love the fact that you said you wanted to teach and also deep diving into your niece's, results and things like that. Because to be honest, that was what they were giving me LH, FSH. You'd have be reading like, oh my God, am I a biologist? Am I like what is this? So it's just like I'm really, really grateful. So it was just when you were speaking, I do know that obviously you have gone through experiences that you've tried to like, compress into this live. But and then you also said something profound, like everything happens for a reason. I do feel strongly that it because of like the way you are, how you go ham with things, it is possible that when you were diagnosed was when you were supposed to be, because maybe that anger will not have been there like this, maybe that drive will not have been there like this. And really in today's um like in the world we live in, today's world, we need to be angry. We actually really need to be. We need to be angry. We need to speak up. We need to speak to the girls that would be like, okay, you need to do this. Like even when you were speaking about it, and I think she and myself have spoken about going to schools and things like that. And you're like, okay, yes, they have the money. What about the public schools? And I just think that this is, how they say that you were made for such a time as this. I really, really believe so. And obviously, like it's just very interesting to hear these stories. And
I realized that with one thing you were saying, at some point I was doing a transfusion, and my sister had to call me out and be like, "You're very, very sick." And because it was not one of those things that really show, it's kind of hidden, right? I had to come to the realization that I was sick and I actually need to help, like get help and help myself. So I'm just, really grateful that you shared your story with us. I don't have any more questions apart from the first two I asked, but yeah, those are just comments that I had to make.
Thanks, Anu. I think there is a question here. Could you share details of the test process to confirm PCOS diagnosis?
Okay, depending on what it is, I'll just read up a list because I actually did write it down. For the insulin resistant PCOS, you have to check your A1C. It's not enough to do fasting blood sugar. Your A1C is actually the proper lab to do. It's also called the high fasting insulin test. It can be normal or elevated. It will test the glucose in your blood and give you a um, back result. Also, you have to check your testosterone. If you note that your voice is a bit deep. For the inflammatory, the labs, I don't know what CRP is, but I'm sure it's a hormone. It says CRP may be elevated. You check for your androgens, you check insulin, maybe normal or mildly elevated, might not be anything serious, but these are just tests you have to do. And I noted for the inflammatory that my research shows that you don't have to be overweight. For the adrenal PCOS, most of them are usually underweight. So you see where there's a problem. If the same condition you have overweight cannot lose weight, underweight cannot add weight, it's very disturbing. Um, the adrenal PCOS is usually from stress. That's why the cortisol will be very high. Then there's an androgen called DHEAS. The labs for it is to check elevated DHEAS in the blood. Insulin is usually normal here. Testosterone might also be normal. But the key point is that the adrenal PCOS is often missed because the tests focus on ovarian hormones, which is why that whole thing that they are doing now, where they're trying to move PCOS from being a fertility issue, a gynae issue, to a metabolic issue, it is so good. It is so important. It is one of the best things that is happening in the community right now. And I think that people will be able to gain so much from being able to see both sides of the coin. So, Shola, I hope that helps. Though. And yes, I have to say, this thing you said, I know about Nigerian doctors. Our doctors are excellent. It is just a matter of the ones that decide to be excellent are excellent. The ones that decide that I have my degree and that's all I'm going to do with it are going to be there. But some just don't read. But with
Yeah.
everything you've done, we must read. You must up yourself. You can't stay in one position and say you've learned it all. So we do have good doctors here.
It's interesting you say that. Sorry, that we must have doctors that read. So I follow one of these pages where they were giving me like labs to take, and I was reading a lot. Funny enough, it was this CRP test I wanted. I think it's like a protein or something like that, and it sees like it gets like elevated, and you can see the results like in labs. I actually asked for it, and what the doctor had told me was, yeah, we don't have any basis to give you that because I obviously have insurance paying for it. So if your doctor does not sign off on it, you cannot get the lab. So I literally went to, I traveled and I came back because I remembered that she had wanted to do a biopsy because she wanted to confirm if I had, cancerous cells in the lining of my womb, which, by the way, I did not have. It was later on that my friend was telling me that someone just doing a biopsy like that, if you even had, could be dangerous. So she shouldn't have done that. And thank God I then went to get a second opinion, because when I then got a second opinion from another hospital in Nigeria, immediately the doctor saw me. He was like, your PCV is so low, I'm going to have to admit you. As he said before, we are not talking about anything. I need to give you blood. Like literally, you could go into shock. So I'm like, it's very interesting that you say that, because it is happening, and it is happening real time, and it's literally the matter of like life or death, because you need to, however you're feeling, you need to follow it to the end and be like, I am feeling this way and it is valid, and you must really, stand up for yourself.
So advocating for oneself is one of the most important things when you have a disorder. Because I remember when I had that meeting at Luth, at a point the doctor said to me, I believe you have a problem. I believe there's a problem. I just can't find it. Please, man. Like, he was so apologetic. Because one, when he realized it was my birthday, he sent them to buy me salad. That I spent the whole day in the hospital. He was feeling sorry. I think I got to the hospital at 6 a.m. I didn't need to pass 6. I was the last person to be attended to.
Wow.
I got there at 6 a.m. and I started. After all, it's me that is looking for something.
Mm-hmm.
I started. There was nothing I could do. I'm the one that was searching for it. I'm the one that had to go through it. No, none of my children are going to go through this.
Amen.
My nieces, I will never allow it. My nephews will learn. They will understand. So in case their own daughters have the issues, they will know how to point it out. If their wives have the issues, they will know how to point it out. Their sisters have the issues, they will know how to point it out. But to not just be, my suffering has to go for something now. If I didn't have choices, let the other ones coming behind me have their choices. Let them have their choices. A friend of mine, her younger sister, the day I saw the girl for the first time, I said, this your sister has PCOS. That her moon face, I beg. And their father was like, what do you mean? And I said, her face is too round. And the man quickly made sure that she got tested. And she did have it. You know what the man has done? He has paid for egg retrieval for her. She's in her 20s. For his child. Just in case.
Wow.
Just in case. So you're not removing, she has her choice. If she wants to have children, she can make that choice. The almost lack of empathy that you sometimes see in Nigerian hospitals.
Yes, that's it.
Can be disturbing.
Yeah.
Can be very disturbing. And you see, I really honestly try to not put myself in certain situations because I have bad mouths. I will cuss you out. You see, the difference between me and the pepper seller on the road that fights is education. Just that I'm educated. I will cuss you out more than herself. But you have to pretend when you're a fine girl. Thank you for the compliments. When you're a fine girl, you have to pretend so that you don't wash yourself outside, But really, sometimes. And I wanted to add something. A lot of times they tell you about how the cookware you're using is a problem.
Yeah.
Don't cook with this, don't cook with that. I have used, of course, when we were younger, we used aluminum pots. Then I used stainless steel for at least 15 years. A few weeks ago, I just became obsessed with the idea of using clay pots like our grandmothers used to. When I say obsessed, you see when I tell you this thing about being hyper-focused. Do you see my pots? Because I was waiting for my cousin to come back. I see her daughter is here. Hi, Renee. To come back from Canada to get me a lead test. I want to test the pots and see if they're safe. If they have no lead, I even bought a kettle. I'm going to switch even, if possible, I'll be eating with my hands. I don't want to use any of these things anymore. I need to be careful what is entering my body. And I remember some years ago, I met a man who told me from when he was a child, he has always eaten from clay pots. When he got married, he didn't want to tell his wife. He didn't want to bother her. And she started using aluminum pots. He kept falling ill. Then one day his mother came to visit. When his mother noticed, his mother told his wife, and she had never been told before. From that day till today, she uses only clay pots to cook for him. And that illness never came back. So I want to test how it is before I give my own opinion on how the food is. Of course, I know I've eaten food cooked in clay pots. The food it tastes so much better. It's like an induction pot. It stays hot if you want it to stay hot and all that. In fact, my phone has been on the mats for the pots that I bought so that when I cook, I have somewhere to put it, you know? Because really, it's not like these conditions didn't exist back in the day, but they weren't this rampant. So what was it that they were doing that we're not doing now? How do we at least try to help ourselves to have certain things? It's such a bother to me. It's really such a bother. So, okay, someone is saying that clay pots lock flavor on another level, which is true.
I also wanted to touch on like endocrine disruptors in general, because I'd been reading on that, like the fabric that we wear, you should, stay as close to cotton as possible, stay away from the polyesters, the fragrances in our houses, because I love a good diffuser. And those things, like even like the body lotion, things like that. So I'm back at oils and shea butter. I try not to buy anything that has been made in a lab or anything like that. So doing that as much as possible. So I've noticed that they've also helped my skin. Also, just I think when I was younger, I had eczema and things like that. I've also noticed that those have kind of gone down over time. So I guess maybe those could also possibly even be inflammation, which have also gone down over time. I mean, I'm wearing like foundation now, but my acne used to be, my acne, like I used to look scary. I couldn't even like wash my face because I would literally scream. That's how bad it was. Yes. And in Nigeria, they just give you, tips. One woman came to meet me that she used engine oil to just rub my face. It will go. you know but and then it's still how you should go for a facial. First of all, that's like probably one of the worst things. I don't really think it helps what is wrong with me, because at some point I started reading about that, and you should never ever ever pop a cystic acne, ever ever. And they were just popping it. My face was like black. Maybe after this I'll look for pictures. Said I look scary. I look scary, and just thinking back on those things. But I'm really glad that women are more informed, taking care of their bodies, taking care of their guts, taking care of their hormones, taking care of their health in general. And, like you said, like maybe even early detection could help us with, the choices. Because if it's for now, we're saying that it is something that has to be managed and not cured. Yes, then we should be able to control the choices, or have, some, you know, choices that we can make, some power in the choices that we can make.
Yeah. Can you hear me? That's about silent. Yes. Yes, I agree with you about choices. Um, on the perfumes, for the longest time, I preferred not to use anything perfumed. There's body lotions and so on. I prefer to use, there's this one I've been using, Cetaphil. It has no scent, the no scent one. I prefer that. Even my hair cream, I don't want all those smells. Just leave me alone. Um, yes, I know that I've read about lavender being a disruptor. Um, and it's for women who are exposed to lavender scents. I know it makes them. A friend of mine, her child started growing breasts at 5, and she realized that her husband, everything has to be lavender, everything. So the smells of it, the child always being exposed to that was what was causing it.
That's interesting. I generally react to lavender. Like I don't like the smell. It's just like you might. I have very sensitive sinuses. In fact, if I ever catch a cold or whatever, I always try to protect this area, because once it gets there, I could either develop like a low grade fever, and then when it degrades into a cough or something, it can take a while. So, and one of the things I've learned is strong smells can trigger that. So I know lavender is one of them. So as soon as I get rid of diffusers, I get rid of anything, because if it gets into my sinus, it could affect me and all. But because time is fast spent, I just want to say thank you, ladies, for taking out the time to share. If anyone else has any questions, please just send it to us on the page. We're going to be doing more, hopefully, more of this. And, when, we start doing more of the outreaches and stuff, if anyone's interested in being a part of it, reach out. Some of the things Enuka has shared in terms of the test after the live would also put it up on the page as well. Wednesday, we're still having like a master class, which is going to be on Zoom. So, there'll be a lot more interaction and, if we, questions and I mean, hopefully we can get the doctors that we want to be there on board. Close that out between at least before Wednesday and everything. I just want to take time to say thank you. I'm trying to see. Oh, someone wants to join our live. Do you have a question? Test it out. I don't know if I can add you because we're closing out. So that's Hampers Basket in Benin. Please send us a question because we're about to wrap up, and then we can answer. So I guess if we're going to just go around the room, one final message to everyone on the call that they can take away. If you could just share from Enuka to Anu and myself, and we'll close out. Just one final word or advice.
I think for me, it would be your biggest advocate when it comes to anything regarding your health. Champion for yourself. If you need to wait till you get what you need, till you get an answer. Stay on top of everything concerning your health. It might not even be just PCOS alone. So it has to do with your eyes, your kidneys, whatever it is. Be your biggest advocate. Like also be very pay attention to your body, any changes it's making. I believe it's communicating with you actively, and as it's communicating with you, you don't understand anything. I think that's also part of advocacy in asking the questions, what's this? Why is it like this? If you notice there's a smell, why is it smelling like this? Like you need to deep dive into every single thing regarding your body. Like, and I believe that, that's where I'm at in my life right now. I'm asking and yeah, so those would be, that would be it for me. Be your biggest advocate when it comes to your body.
Yeah. I think what I'm going to say, somebody was asking about endometriosis.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I haven't done a deep dive on that, but I do plan to. I recently was talking to someone who runs some advocacy out of Sierra Leone a few days ago, and it was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
PCOS is the one we're talking about. But a few years ago, I was really worried. I thought that one of my nieces had endometriosis. I was very worried. Just thought that she was just having painful periods. Thank goodness. I joke about if she was in Nigeria, I'll probably be just giving her one shot of Google every time that her period starts, like the Delta people do to their daughters. It works for them. I've seen it work. I have a friend who her period was so bad when we were in uni, she used to miss her exams. So her faculty knew her, and they would run her exams for her afterwards if she has a period issue. So it's a thing. I think at the end of the day, yes, we should all need to advocate for ourselves because we're the ones who know what we're going through. We're the only ones who can actually effectively say, this is a symptom I'm experiencing. No matter what anybody says to you, when you know that's what you're experiencing, stick to it. There's a man on TikTok that I saw, Dr. Aluko. He's a cardiologist. And he said, I noted something he said. He said that women are so different from men that even when a woman has a heart issue, when she's having a heart attack, it presents itself as a gut issue, which I know already because I have an aunt who had an insulin spike, gave herself an insulin issue. She was diabetic. She had taken the pill and she didn't know she was having a heart attack. And she gave herself a shot. And she had a full heart attack that led to a cardiac arrest and she died. My dad's sister. And that's when we learned that for women, it presents in the gut. So I'm very conscious of it. My stomach is not going to be paining me anyhow. You know how you watch movies and everybody goes, it's the men that should go like this, women is our stomach. So we have to be careful. I mean, if I didn't have that experience in my family, I would never have known. So when he said it in the comments, a lot of people were saying, what concerns the stomach with the heart? And my friend joked that, why is it not called the stomach attack? Why is it called the heart attack? And I said, you can laugh. Better just know that I have told you, so the information is in your head. So if your mother starts to say her stomach is paining her, better take her to the hospital to go and do an ECG. You don't know.
Exactly.
You don't know. As they say, we perish for lack of knowledge. And I know that if we continue talking about this, everybody has so much to add to this, because compressing one's experience into this 1 hour isn't enough. There's so much. But yes, somebody has asked that. I hope we can keep doing this over and over again. I'm very open to it. I think that advocacy is the way forward. There are lots of people who need these conversations to happen. And in fact, I'll talk to you guys behind the scenes, and because I would really, really like for this to take place. My secondary school is always my first port of call. I'm a very serious alumni. I'm very, very serious. I enjoyed my time in secondary school, so I always tend to want to do things there. I don't think it's too early for the girls to understand. In fact, and the boys to understand. I really don't understand this thing of, you want to talk about periods and people are looking so disgusted. I grew up with 3 brothers. You go and buy pad for your sister. At a point, my baby brother, it was so normal to him. If they don't have nylon bags, he carry it to his hand. Okay, it's not a biggie. And, he told me about having to work one day. He doesn't live in Nigeria anymore. And a girl, she stained herself, and everybody was looking at her. He said he was wondering, what's wrong with you people? Don't you have sisters? Why are you looking at her like there's something wrong? She's only having her period. But they'll make women feel so out of tune, like there's something wrong with it. These are just natural things. And we need to even train our boys to understand these are natural things. These are natural things that will happen to girls. I don't know who was talking. I think it was, when we were talking, no, it was Sheyi, about Leona. It was so bad when I had fibroids. I used to bleed so excessively that my dad would not let me sit on his bed.
Oh, wow.
Because I might sit down and stay in the poor man's bed. I enter the car, I'm bleeding. So I love what Lupita is doing. The attention she's bringing to what we are going through.
Yeah.
I advise anybody I know that lives abroad that is having fibroid issues, come home. In Nigeria, those are surgeries that they do, like they can even fall asleep and do the surgery. It's nothing. You can't do it abroad and you're having complications. Please, why? Because they've done it so much in Nigeria that it's second nature to us here. Second natures. We do it all the time. Like you go in, they'll do the surgery for you, but you will not even remember you had the surgery. They finished doing the surgery. There are certain things, healthcare, no matter how bad we want to say Nigeria is, there's still some things that we are actually still on top of. That the healthcare for fibroids, you see people, NGOs coming up to do fibroid surgeries for free all over the place, and they do it often. How many people abroad can actually say that they do that? I know someone who is an orthopedic surgeon in the US, double certified. He's not a moi orthopedic surgeon. This man has been running knee replacements in Owerri for 500,000 naira. 500,000 naira. He comes home with a team and goes to Owerri. That 500,000 is just for him to pay the hostel he's using and cover his transport bills for the people he's bringing and make sure everybody's okay. They do it for free. Nigerian doctors coming back. So there are people who are actually doing things. And I am so happy that this conversation has started, because it's not about to end. Both of you are going to run away from me. I'm just warning you. Because on Friday, I'm going to be very honest. Sheyi, after I told you about the person who told me to think very seriously about advocacy.
Yeah.
I told you I hyper-fixate. I've just been writing and writing and writing and writing and writing. That's the only way I can get the thoughts out of my head. That way I'll be able to do something. But I feel that because I love to teach people things. I like to learn things. So even I'm learning as I'm going along, and I want other people to learn so that we help ourselves. Imagine if all of us here knew as teenagers, if our parents knew. Yeah, let me tell you something. When I found out in December 2023, you notice I keep referencing my father. I'm a daddy's girl, shameless here. My dad is late. But I went to him, he had full dementia. And this man held my hand and said, I am sorry. I was your parent, I should have helped you with full dementia. So while I still have my own senses intact, I will help my children because it might seem like nothing. But if I have 20 nieces and 2 of them happen to have PCOS and I help the 2 of them, have I not achieved what my goal is? And that's the only thing I'm here for. And I think that all of us individually, if we do that, if we're able to help our children. One of my friends here that is commenting, her daughter is one of us, teenager, and we know how much work we're putting in because when you're a teenager and you're big, you're going to have people who are teasing you, who are mocking you, and you don't know what is wrong with you. That is one of the most painful things. Fortunately for me, I didn't have, of course, I had people mocking me and teasing me and all that, but I had a very huge sense of self. So I wasn't easy to bully. But imagine the next girl who doesn't. I mean, I know, look at you talking about having acne. I've never had acne. I said I'll have one pimple, one, and my friends will be celebrating that I have, hey, finally, she's going through puberty with us, so hey, we're happy for her. I have no acne. My skin, I wore very light foundation. I mean, when I say very light, just to pity you people are my dark eyes, right? I have nothing on my skin. The only blemish, I don't have hyperpigmentation that I have is my beard. And I know that people will say it's not as bad as, but I see it. Fortunately, it's even under where nobody really sees it, unless I leave it. In fact, if men annoy me enough, I tell them, see, if you leave me, my baby will join before your own. I think for me, before you can make fun of me, I've made fun of myself. So, you're not going to be able to use what you think is a power against me. It's not going to work because I'm conscious of what it is. So yeah, I'm so grateful that you guys gave me this opportunity. It has opened up a huge thing in my mind as to where I want to go. I appreciate it, and we will do more work together.
Definitely. Thank you. I hope I had to take off my mic because my battery was running low. But I hope you guys the ladies can still hear me and everyone on the call. Is the audio still fine?
Yes, still fine.
Okay, awesome. So thank you so much. I know someone had asked about endo on Wednesday. So if you haven't registered for our webinar or masterclass, make sure you register. We will deep dive because it's also endo awareness month. So we also want, because even apart from that, there are women with PCOS and also dealing. I have a friend that actually has both. So it's also something that we're bringing, attention to. So join on Wednesday. We'll have more conversations on this and deep dive. And, as Enuka said, we've started it. We're going to, sometimes even Anu has been one ginger, let's go to school. And I'm like, okay, can we take over everything? And, that's the thing. We're also managing the way you're dealing with PCOS because I've been out all day. And by the time I go home, I was like, I want to sleep. I just want to lie down. But I was like, no, we have to make this live. We have to have this conversation. And I'm really, really grateful for the time our lovely ladies have had with us and for all of you that have joined. I'll say my own final word is don't ignore the pain because it's very easy. Like sometimes you feel like nerve pain. I didn't even know nerve pain was a thing until one time I was like, why is my hand aching me? And I'm like very curious about it. And then I'm like, oh, if you're using metformin, I found out, and you're not taking B vitamins, you would start noticing that. So, like you said, notice the little things. Don't ignore it. Don't say, oh, I'm a woman, I'm strong. Oh, or stomach ache is something that is natural. I'll just sleep. I think, like Anu said, your body is communicating with you. And everything that we've learned so far, even looking at, even looking at dysregulation in the body, we are learning that the body gives us signals so that we can pay attention and do something about it. And then I guess shout out to the last one of our community group. She had buzzed earlier. We call her, is this sugar or vanilla? No, it's vanilla. Miss Vanilla. thank you for joining. Anyway, thank you, ladies. Thank you, men who may have been on the group or on the call. Thank you for joining. And hopefully, like I said, we'll have many more sessions to come. Have a beautiful evening. And until next time, take care.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.